Thank you for coming by Minnesota Black Regiment. As always, I very much appreciate your views, your feedback, your critiques. Would definitely love a subscription. Um, so if you can sub, even if you disagree with me, that'd be awesome. In this video, I'm going to be doing another casual cognitive dissonance. Um, it's there again, my entire intent with this series of videos was to be a lot more lighthearted, and what I'm finding out is that it's becoming increasingly more difficult to be, shall we say, easygoing. Uh, by and large, some of that's because some of what's happening in our culture today is um, very difficult. We're we're at a time where we are experiencing levels of vitriol and hatred that are heretofore unseen, and I mean that. It's a this is a dangerous and perilous time, and we are watching the dismantling of the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly. So much of what's contained in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is being crumbled away from that document, and the heat is on, if you will. Men and women around the United States are being fired for the offense of being in Washington D.C. on was it January 6th. So what I'm going to tackle today is not directly related to the events at the Capitol on January 6th, but it is a direct result of what's been happening since then. So on Monday of uh, January 11th, it was, yeah, I want to say it was Monday, January 11th. CARE 11, the leftist propaganda arm of the media, they make no bones about it, in the Twin Cities, ran this piece. The Republican Party of St. Croix County, Wisconsin is standing by a post on its website which proclaims in Latin and English, "If you want peace, prepare for war." And this is "Si vis pacem parum bellum." So let's see what they say here. So CARE 11 ran this story about the Republican Party in St. Croix, Wisconsin, running with their "Si vis pacem parum bellum." If you want peace, prepare for war. And they're outraged, and their viewership is the people that follow them on Facebook are just livid with what's happening here. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these comments, because this is really important to the cognitive dissonance, and this is casual, but it's caustic. It's caustic, casual cognitive dissonance. Try saying that one time, let alone 3 times fast. It looks like allegedly the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office had a conversation with the Republican Party on Tuesday, and I guess they took it down. I don't know. I'm not even going to go to their website. That part's not as important to me. So here's on Andrea Johnson saying, "Did they forget that treason is punishable by life in prison or worse, death? They should all be immediately arrested." Now, okay, sure, maybe you believe that. Is this, "If you want peace, prepare for war," a call to treason? No, it's not, and we'll cover that in a second. Here we have, "This doesn't surprise me at all. It's like where I worked, the owner and supervisor called what happened at the Capitol heroes and true patriots, although I think we should applaud all of them for the reason that they stood up and said, 'Here I am.' Now we know who and where they are. Investigating them will cost less. Plus, we will be able to brace our communities for their continued criminal activity." That's what these people are, criminals involved in hate groups who have gone across the country all last year, inciting violence, pillaging, and burning our great country to the ground. Okay, this single comment from this Eric Caselius is perhaps, well, not sure what's going on here. There we go, it's back. Is perhaps the greatest amount of casual cognitive dissonance I have seen in, well, since I did my video about Rico and his comments to the interchange. American patriots did not go across the country inciting violence and burning down cities. That was Marxist leftists. That was Antifa. That was Black Lives Matter. The criminals who burned down cities this year in Minnesota were Marxist, leftist, militant rebels. That's what it is. Antifa has been and continues to riot and burn down and commit acts of treason in the city of Portland, Oregon. And they have been almost without stopping every night since George Floyd died. The unfortunate situation in Minneapolis a couple of weeks ago where the young man was shot and killed as he fired on law enforcement resulted in the American flag being pulled down off the gas station where he was shot and killed. It was justifiable on the part of law enforcement. That resulted in the American flag being pulled down, burned, and trampled, and left in the muck and the mire while the Somali flag was raised. That wasn't conservative patriot Americans doing that. You morons. You flipping morons. But I don't want to say it gets better, but it goes on. Here is Sandy Kazbrzak. Stop it. Every one of them should be held accountable for treason. What did they do? What did they do, Sandy? What did they do? How is anybody in the St. Croix Republican Party guilty of treason? This is precisely why every single time I do one of these videos, what I talk about is the importance of the intentionality of studying reason and logic and thought process in schools today, which they don't teach. They don't teach anymore. Moreover, they don't teach history. And we're going to demonstrate that here in just a second. This is horrible. War against other Americans is treason. Really? Nobody would have told me that. How is this a call to war against other Americans? There again, here's where history is a problem, or the lack of studying history is a problem. The people who are so upset about this statement have no idea where this came from. None. Republican civil warmongering because they cannot accept a loss in a free and fair election. Okay, Maggie Hussey or Hussey. I prefer Hussey here. So, and if any of you have ever watched an old Western, you know why Hussey is appropriate. Okay, Maggie Hussey. What about all the rioting that took place after President Trump was elected in 2016? Like literally, they tried to burn down Washington, D.C. and other cities. What about that? There were armed people at the Capitol building during that time. There have been armed people at the Capitol building from Marxist militant groups all the way from Antifa to the Black Lives Matter militants, New Black Panthers, armed in the last 4 years on Capitol grounds, claiming that Trump didn't win. So color me surprised that you seem to have forgotten that. Thank you for shining light. This is Carol E. Sowers. Thank you for shining light on this dangerous rhetoric being shed in Republican circles. This is not okay. People, you are idiots, blithering idiots. Once again, I keep saying this over and over and over again, and I'm going to get to my point here just in a second. This statement that they shared, that the St. Croix Republican Party shared, is not new. There is a philosophy behind it, and it's not what you're making it out to be. Scoy, Care 11, my opinion is that these posts are terroristic threats. We'll consult authorities. Who cares, Nick Scoy? Who gives a flying French toast what you think? That is not a terroristic threat. You clearly don't understand what terroristic threats are. Well, let's take a look here. Let's take a look here. Who is Nick Scoy? Well, let's see here. We do have a mutual friend. Oh, wow. A little shocked at who our mutual friend is. Can't really see much, but Nick is a younger guy, so that's okay. We're not going to look at Nick anymore, but let's see what the one reply to, the replies to Nick Scoy were. Believe in your dreams. Nick Scoy, this is awesome because this guy gets the history. This is Jared Horn. Terroristic threats have been around since at least the 4th or 5th century. This is where I'm going to go. So, okay. I'm going to use Yicky. That was a Freudian slip. I call Wiki Yicky all the time. Civis pacem parabellum. This is from a Latin, or excuse me, a Roman author. He was kind of a military philosopher. His Publius Flavius Vegetatius Renatus, and it was from a tract that he wrote called De Re Militari. And the phrasing is much longer, and it, I'm going to butcher the crap out of this, so let's have fun. Igitar qui desidere pacem preparet bellum. Therefore, let him who desires peace get ready for war. So, as it says here, the idea which it conveys also appears in earlier works such as Plato's Nomi, and that's laws, and the Chinese Qi Ji. The phrase presents the insight that conditions of peace are often preserved by readiness to make war when necessitated. The reason I'm going to have a hard time taking any of these people seriously is, quite frankly, because they don't know history. It is not inciting violence. It is not inciting treason or sedition or an insurrection to say, to prepare for peace, you must be ready for war. Or to prepare for peace, you must be prepared to make war. It goes back to the old adage, peace through superior firepower, which is really just a play on this old Latin phrase by an old Latin writer who was writing about military preparedness. Now, should the St. Croix, Wisconsin Republican Party have posted that? Yeah, sure. I don't have a problem with that. Don't tread on me. My flag flies in the distress position on the front of my house. I have, and I end every video, and I will end this video with thus always to tyrants. Because we need that reminder. that sic semper tyrannis, um, the call to be ready for war, or to achieve peace by making ready for war, isn't violent. And in fact, it's a call to be prepared to do violence to have peace. Because you can't have peace without war. You can't. It's impossible. You take, for example, the American approach to non-interventionism between World War I and World War II. What we saw was the American machine, quite frankly, not worrying about anything that was going on in the world. Okay, not worried about it at all. Had no desire to intervene in anything. And we knew there were great evils happening. So what's that look like? What's that mean? Well, the United States got punched, sucker punched. Japan came in, devastated us in Pearl Harbor, nearly wiped out our entire Navy. And we came back. And the old saying goes, when, don't wake a sleeping giant, because you're not going to like the results. And that's what happened. The United States had forgot to prepare for war, to be ready to fight a war. And we suffered for it. And that mindset is where the American people need to be today. We've forgotten it. We have lived cushy, easy lives for the last 50, 60 years. We've seen massive strides in civil rights. We've seen massive strides in equality, not equity. I hate the term equity. Equity has no place in our vernacular, because if you know what equity is, it's unattainable. But we're in a position where, quite frankly, it's unavoidable. There's also another old saying that hard times produce hard men produce easy times produce soft men produce hard times. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's this constant refrain that if you're not ready, you're going to suffer. And so we're in that position. And yes, I'm sorry, conservative, traditional, patriotic Americans have sat idly by. They've sat on their hands, and they've allowed what they've considered to be the American way of life to be stripped from them. For the first time in the history of the United States, over 50% of the people are on some form of government handout, some form of government support. Things like welfare and things like Social Security disability are on the increase because of governmental overreactions to a current pandemic that is taking place in the United States. We have people who are constantly on the dole. There are literally people out there right now who went through a very protracted period of time in 2020 where they were literally making more sitting at home because of the added benefits to unemployment than what they were making or would have made when they were working. I happen to know someone, I'm friends with someone who has a sister who said, I'm not going back to work. I'm making more money sitting on my butt. So that's where we're at. That is not the American way. That is Marxism, and that is communism. And all of these people who were commenting on the Care 11 story on their Facebook page, who were outraged at the treasonous words of the St. Croix County, Wisconsin Republican Party, and calling for them to be arrested and calling for them to be charged with treason, and really, ultimately, that means prison, and more than likely, with a treason charge, you could face the death penalty. These people have lost their freaking minds. Over what? Over someone quoting a Roman philosopher from the 4th and 5th centuries. This is why it's important for us to battle casual cognitive dissonance. We have to be aware. We have to know what's going on, because if we don't, we are going to lose so much. Quoting this could get you thrown in jail if the right people are in power. or the wrong people are in power. Quoting this could get you arrested and charged. Aligning yourself with President Trump could get you arrested and charged. And in some cases, there could be people advocating that your children be taken away from you. Or if Trump wins, as the guy from PBS said, legal counsel for PBS said, if Trump wins, maybe we should throw Molotov cocktails at the White House. That didn't get him arrested as far as I know. He did lose his job, but I guarantee you he lost his job with a very cushy package, because that's how things work when you're on the left. You can say whatever you want, and only when you get caught red-handed, only when you get caught saying them, will you be held accountable. But now, things like this, people want you arrested. This is asinine. This has to stop. The First Amendment covers speech, popular and unpopular, loving and gracious speech, and non-loving and non-gracious speech. It covers the freedom of a racist to say racist stuff, period. A black racist, a white racist, a native racist, an Asian racist, a Hispanic racist, a European racist, it doesn't matter. You have the freedom to say horrible things and not be arrested for it. You have the freedom to express your views, no matter what they are, without being arrested for it, until you actively call for violence against a particular person or a particular thing. This statement is not a call for violence. It is not a call for treason. It's a statement of saying, be prepared. That's it. End of story. And anybody who sees this and thinks that, oh, we need to make sure it never gets said again, you are exactly what's wrong with this country right now. You are a Marxist shill. You would turn in your neighbor if they put this on their house. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to find a way to make a sign that says this, and it's going to get put up on my house. In fact, I'm going to put the banner on Facebook, because I know what it means and I can defend myself. But you morons out there, you leftist shills, you Marxist sheep, you're cowards, and you can't handle anybody saying anything that you can't understand. And quite frankly, most of the people on the left, from the middle to the left, are idiots. They're not uneducated, they're just educated idiots. So yes, there's nothing wrong with saying the best way to peace is to prepare for war, or to have peace, be ready to make war. It's a phenomenal saying, and it's a philosophy that we should be practicing in our daily lives as a nation, as states, as counties, and as individuals. You are never going to sweet talk your way out of being raped. You're never going to sweet talk your way out of being violently beaten to death for a phone and a pair of shoes. It's Marxist pacifism that calls for traditional conservative patriotic Americans to lay down while you violently seize from us everything that is important to us by stripping away liberties. And don't tell me that this isn't the stripping of liberties. Shame on America, and shame on the direction that we're taking. So yes, if you want peace, prepare for war. Sic Semper Tyrannis.